Hi, I'm Mark Unger, producer of Roundtable. Because we find this presentation so special, we really would like for you to see this. Please watch.
Hello, this is Single Shot at Roundtable with Alex A.G. Today we have as our guest our own New York photographer, Chris Lord. British-born, moved to New York in the 70s. He started his photographic career as a film photographer, and at some point he moved to digital, and recently he created a unique style of photography that is only possible with digital technology, and we wanted to ask him a couple of questions about it. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. So your photographic style is truly unique for me. I personally do believe that photography have to evolve and have to respect existing photographic style and photographic approach, but also create the new ways. But apparently a lot of people would disagree with it, and you're one of the people who not just agreeing with it in practical way, but in fact making it happen. You're actually creating images that, in my personal opinion, are future of photography. For decades, for a good century actually, photography was considered to be a media that's supposed to accurately and truthfully reflect the reality. Just what I see, what is shown. First it was black and white, then the color was introduced to make it even more real. Then there was several other advancements made to make photography as close to reality as possible. And at this point, it's a commonplace belief that photography have to be realistic. I personally do believe that it's only part of the truth, and your images tell me that you probably also would agree with me. So what is your reason for taking this unique approach to photography, to creating images that based on reality, but indeed not exactly reality anymore, if I may describe them this way?
Well, I used to shoot film for years and years and years, and it always disappointed me. I would send off the slides after a shoot, wait excitedly for them. They'd come in the mail, and I'd rip the box open and then go, oh. They never matched. The camera didn't see what I saw. They never matched what I saw in my head. I'm maybe a little crazy, but I always see and feel a lot more than photographs seem to give me. And I wanted something that was more just me, that came out of me. I can't paint. I wish I could paint. If I could draw and paint, I would do that perhaps. But I took to photography, and I always did it as a hobby. And finally, I turned it into something that I could sell.
This is beautiful. So as I understand, for you, ability to expand reality cameracy using, as I know, originally analog ways and now using digital ways is a way to express yourself. But in what exact way? What exactly you're trying to express? What exactly you're trying to show to the world? What is the message you're trying to
Well,
bring with this?
it's not really that deep. In the end, I really just want to create a picture that somebody might want to hang on the wall. But something that's eye-catching and just a little bit different, and it puts me in a slightly different category than the run-of-the-mill everybody else. While everybody else is taking beautiful photographs, they are just photographs. I want something that's just a little different.
Unique.
So unique, yes. So I'll mess with those pictures. I don't have any any qualms about distorting pixels. I'll stretch photographs. I will bend them, crop them, add textures to them, accentuate the details beyond any normal sense of, well, a purist would slap me for doing what I do to pictures. But it's fun, and I obviously a lot of people like it. I have quite a lot of followers on Instagram and on Google, and my pictures do sell, so it works.
Oh, the Vox Populi definitely given them a vote yes. That's I've seen with my own eyes. So purely aesthetical reasons, so there is something besides just aesthetics, just making something different and beautiful.
Yes, yes, that's the bottom line. It's just something that's, yeah, I want something that's really pretty or beautiful, that stands out, that is worthy of somebody's living room wall or their bedroom wall or something that's just could have been painted perhaps, but it's out of my imagination more than it's just reality what I saw. So I always have to play with everything. You know, there's very few pictures that I will leave alone. I might just add some birds to a corner of the picture or a cloud or something, but there's always going to be something. It's never straight out of the camera shot with me. It's messed with in some way. I keep a huge folder of clouds. I go to England every year, and the clouds in August over there are just tremendous. There's fabulous clouds everywhere, and I just take pictures of the skies all the time and sunsets. And every time I see pictures like that, they just get put into one big folder. And I keep that on one monitor in Bridge up above where I'm working, and I can just pull a cloud down into the picture I'm working on at any time. So I'll just go through those hundreds of, a couple of thousand at this point, clouds, and pick the one I think will just work and drag it down and then blend it in, erase a little bit maybe, mask it out, put it just where I need it.
Oh, the results are quite masterful for sure.
And sometimes I'll add 2 or 3. And layer them and blend them together, and you can get some marvelous effects like that.
A small symphony of clouds.
Yes.
Yeah, so beautiful and internally clarifying. What about weird? Because a lot of what's happening with modern art in general and visual art specifically, apart from photography, not really looking into the direction of making something beautiful or creating harmony, actually creating in a way dissonance, as long as it's as weird and as eye-catchy as possible, it works. That's part of the approach of the modern art we've seen in the museums for the past 2 decades, I would say. What do you feel about that?
I don't do abstract. I don't really like abstract. I've done a couple, like the blurred tree picture when you move the camera in the forest and things, but that's not really what I do. I love surrealism. When I grew up in England, there was a little museum in my hometown that was had some Salvador Dali's in there, and there was quite a few Magritte. There was like a room dedicated to René Magritte. And as a child, looking at those strange pictures with locomotives coming out of the fireplace and umbrellas falling and pipes in the air and all kinds of strange stuff, it really, really gave me a taste for that slight shift towards the weird, if you like. But I prefer to think of it as just surreal and a little strange. And I do like the dark side.
You do?
So I will, you know, I love shooting in cemeteries, and I like to play with those and make them very dark and
in my opinion, darkness is not really related to the subject matter. It's related to the premise an artist have. And as an artist who's been actively involved in creating the final image even after it's photographed, you actually are the main theme of every image in a way.
Yes.
So I can't recall seeing images that would have this distinctive dark feeling about them that would be actually bringing you down instead of trying to elevate you. I personally do believe that Aristotle wasn't mistaken, that there is a purpose in art, and the purpose is actually making this world better. And again, it's my opinion. You can look into any dark subject matter. You can go deep into the depth of despair, like Russian literature did, probably like nobody besides British literature did one. But you still can find something hopeful, something enlightening, and something elevating on the bottom of it. And that's my impression of your works. I would never say that they're essentially dark. They deal with dark subject matter, but if I may say, they probably have the same educational purpose of making a person who looking at them better, happier, more composed in a way.
Well, even when I'm working on a really dark picture, I'm doing it with a twinkle in my eye.
That's what
I know. I'm enjoying it and smiling. So
we will be back after these messages. Just lipstick. So it will. So we was talking about influencing people to the better and generally interacting with the viewer. But what about interacting with your fellow photographer? I know that you are staging photo walks, and it's for a professional, especially successful professional, is kind of unorthodox. Not a lot of people would actually have courage to interface, especially in groups, their colleagues, have their art to be compared to art of other people, especially when you're in the same environment. The photo walk is a rather new phenomena, and I participated in a couple of them, and it was interesting. But for me, the process is always a process of inner monologue in a way. So it always was very interesting for me to ask somebody who is so actively working with photo walks, and especially staging his own, how it works and why you and other participants are doing it, what it gives to you to them.
All the many years that I was working before I stopped working, I was probably very introverted. And the first photo walk I went on, the first time I invited myself out with a bunch of people that were going out as a group, was some people that I discovered on Facebook, and I kind of invited myself along and went out with them. It was a challenge. I did find it a little bit difficult to spend time with other photographers, but it got easier, and I enjoyed the company. I enjoyed being out with other photographers, shooting with other photographers. If you go shooting with other friends, with family, people hate it because you're always behind them. You're always way back there. You've always got to get that one more shot. Other photographers understand that. and they're doing the same thing, and you really can relate. So going out with a group of photographers is a lot more interesting. It's a lot more fun if you're taking a camera and going out, if the other people are into it too. Over time, I met up with a bunch of people in a meetup, from the meetup website. NYC Photo Outings was a small group, but really great bunch of people, and we became really tight. But eventually the leader got married and his wife hipped him under the thumb and didn't let him out, and we didn't go out for a long time. And finally somebody came along and took away that particular meetup page, that group, and we lost control of it, and it wasn't somebody that we wanted to go out with at all. So in a sort of retaliation, one friend of mine started a Facebook group called NYC Photo Outings, gave it the same name, and we invited everybody that we knew that was on Facebook that had been in that group to join it, and then we reached out to other friends and had them join too. So it was a place where we could meet amongst ourselves, talk about places to go and photograph, and get together and organize little things. But nobody was really organizing anything. So I started organizing things. And it was kind of like a bit difficult at first, but I put together quite a few big walks, and I ended up with a whole bunch of people coming to a couple of them. And we do things like go to Poughkeepsie and do the 2 bridges and in the fall and that, and or go to Queens and walk over to Brooklyn across the bridge, the Pulaski Bridge there. Go across the Manhattan Bridge in the snow one night with a bunch of people. I think I had like 9, 10, 11 people. Yeah. And we all had a lot of fun. And in the end, we invited Sally Morales, who is the leader of the NYC Photographers, which is the biggest meetup group in New York. They have like over 4,000 members. And can get quite a lot of people showing up for some of the bigger walks and things. She had lost a lot of her organizers due to they had got families and couldn't come out anymore, or they were studying and couldn't spend the time on it. And she invited me to become an organizer. Having been out on a couple of the walks I'd done with the Facebook group, she invited me to become an organizer with that group back in last February or so. I did 3 walks between February and June, and then I went off to England for a couple of months. And since I've been back, we've done quite a few, and they've all been a lot of fun and quite successful. Now I've done like the most obvious ones that come to mind. I'm going to have to do research and start thinking about where I'm going to take these people on future walks, but it's great. I love doing it.
Ask me for a couple of ideas. I know a couple of hidden places in New York.
Terrific, I will.
Just to give you one example, there is a place where the semi-decomposed ships lay in the water by the Staten Island.
I've heard of it, but I haven't been there yet.
And it also have a park there. So maybe the next photo walk would be there. It's not so easy to reach, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Well, as I understand, this pursuit is emotionally rewarding indeed, but what about artistically? Does it bring something to you in terms of improving what you create, besides providing you obviously footage?
It's very interesting, because after a shoot, a lot of the people on the meetup site provides a place to put photographs.
Of course. And
I get to see what other people have taken, and they post, everybody posts, and then I'll post a bunch.
So basically...
but it's not a matter of competition. We're not in competition. And I always thought I saw everything. And I'm very visual, and I notice, but it's amazing how many things you don't notice, other people do notice.
Oh, absolutely.
And you go through the photographs, and you say, where was that? I didn't see that. Where the heck was that? And it's fantastic, because everybody sees the world differently. Everybody sees different things. You can walk down the same street with 50 people, and you'll get 50 whole different views of what you just saw. It's really has been educational in that terms, and so I look even harder now. you know, and things, and it's great. Of course, my pictures are different, so I'm not, you know, nobody's even trying to compete with me. There's a few other people that do get into doing a few manipulations or strange things with their pictures, but they're not mine. So,
you
so there's no competition, or I don't have to be competitive or aggressive or anything like that. And it's also nice to be out with a lot of people, and there's a lot of newbies that come out with us that, you know, haven't really done a lot of photography, and will come and ask a lot of questions and things, and it's fun to share with people what you have learned over the years. And I don't keep any of my editing things a secret. I will tell people, and I do occasionally have a student or so that comes over and learns a bit of stuff, you know.
Well, you can learn the secrets, you definitely can steal the style. That was actually one of my biggest questions about how those photo walks actually managing to walk. Because most of the photographers and general artists are pretty competitive, and many of them are also jealous. So when they join in it and they seen what they done and they seen what somebody else did, in their eyes, most of the time their own work would be inferior to the other people's work.
It's funny you should say that they're competitive or jealous of each other. On all the sites where I sell pictures, like Fine Art America, Redbubble, and that, the artists schmooze each other. Because on these sites, the more likes you get on your pictures, the higher you get in the search rankings. So we all schmooze each other, and we all go and like each other's pictures and say nice things to each other. But even when we're not on the site, if we meet or we're talking on Facebook, there's a camaraderie that develops there.
We'll be back after this small pause.
I did that one just in time. Absolutely.
So you mentioned that you don't have secrets about your editing processes and general approach to it, and I would actually take an opportunity and ask you to share with our viewers a small bit of the wealth of knowledge about the matter you have. If you just need to give one advice to a person who learning to edit photographs on professional level, and whether it would be a traditional approach to editing them just to make them to be more vivid and more pop out, or to make them a little bit more surreal the way you do, what would be that advice? I know it's a tricky one.
There's a lot. I thought it would be a hard question, but it's actually very easy when you start to think about it. There's an awful lot of presets, programs out now, plugins for Photoshop that give you a lot of preset effects and looks. And you click a button and wow, look at that. Look what it's done to my picture. That's fabulous. And you can take that picture and put it online and show it to everybody. But there's another 20,000 people going to click that same button.
On a similar image,
And their image,
very
their
likely.
picture will be a different picture, but it's going to have exactly the same look, exactly the same style, the same, and I think that's something really to avoid. Now, I use all the different plugins. I use all the Topaz on one, the Nix stuff. I just bought the Luminar program. There's something in Luminar called a sunburst, where you can just click on the sunburst button and move the sunburst where you want it, and boom, you've got a sunburst. Somebody posted one on Facebook the other day where it was in the middle of a dark cloud. An impossibility. So abusing these programs, not using them well, and just using the presets buttons, you can't do that. You've got to use a little bit of this one, a little bit of that one, a little something else. Make it like a recipe. I used to be a chef. So, you know, I treat photography the same way. I treat my pictures the same way. Everyone is different. And you just use a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of this, and you come up with a recipe for that picture, just that picture. The next picture, the recipe is totally different.
So basically, not to hang on a specific procedure, and to use everything in moderation, to sum it up.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah.
I would actually totally undersign this advice. I actually use a lot of similar tools, especially Nix, my favorite. And indeed, once you're using the tool in its 100% version, next day you'll see somebody using it on a very similar image. Thank you very much, Chris. It was a true pleasure.
It was fun.
I appreciate it. It's really great to have somebody with these skills in our studio.